go back to work.
Oh, Tom.
It's part of the wedding. No Sicilian can refuse any request on his daughter's wedding day.
In 1972, Francis Ford Coppola revolutionized the gangster movie genre when he co-wrote and directed The Godfather, hailed as one of the greatest films of all time and the first in a trilogy of epic proportions.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
The production was famously troubled as Coppola butted heads with studio execs over his choice to cast Marlon Brando and a then unknown Al Pacino.
Michael, is it true?
Don't ask me about my business.
No.
Against the odds, Coppola succeeded and the film picked up 3 Oscars, which he then backed up with The Godfather Part 2, which won 6 Golden Statues from 11 nominations.
I knew it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart.
Francis Ford Coppola, it's an honour to chat with you. My favourite film is Godfather Part 2. My second favourite film is The Godfather. Is it true, though, that you weren't planning on making Godfather Part 2?
To me, I had thought that the first film sort of told it all. So when they approached me on making a second one, I basically turned it down. I said, I don't want to just keep making the same film. I want to make different kinds of film. I want to always be doing a new experience. So I said, but what I would do is that I would work on the script for a second one with Mario Puzo, and I'll do that, and I'll choose a young director, and I'll come to you, and I'll produce the film, but this young director will direct it. So after a time, I contacted them and I said, well, we've done it. We have a script that we think is an interesting script. And I said, it's a sort of like a prequel and a sequel at the same time. And I have chosen a director to do it. And I said, his name is Martin Scorsese. He's a brilliant talent. And they said, no, we don't want to now start with someone that we don't know. And so then the head of Paramount or Gulf and Western, which owned Paramount, called me up and he said, listen, Francis, you have to do it. This is Coca-Cola and you have the formula for Coca-Cola and you have to make more Coca-Cola. Well, we will do anything you want to have you do this. And I said, okay, I'll do it on 3 conditions. One is that I can do it with total freedom and I don't have to be under Bob Evans's thumb and have them driving me crazy with their interference and stuff. 2, I said, I want $1 million. I mean, for me to ask for $1 million, I never had in one piece $10,000, much less $1 million, I need $1 million. And thirdly, I want to call the film The Godfather Part 2.
And Francis, with Part 2, didn't you pretty much invent the idea of sequels?
There had never been a movie in America, something Part 2. Which was ironic because Part 2 became in America crazy. There was Rocky 2, there was Mission Impossible 2. So that became the rage to have movies with numbers on them. But somehow we caught like lightning in a bottle, as they say twice, and we had this wonderful success where both Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 won Best Picture, and it was a storybook success.
Coppola moved on to make different kinds of movies, including Apocalypse Now, another famously difficult production that barely survived tropical storms, script rewrites, and lead actor Martin Sheen suffering a heart attack during filming. Does it need to be that hard to make a great movie? Is it the whole thing about pressure making diamonds?
It's kind of like magic. I mean, some people have asked me, how do you make a really great artistic film that also makes money? And I look at them and I say one word: risk. You have to inject the element of risk. There has to be a little bit of the element of you don't exactly know what you're doing, because it's only in that madness of having and trying to do something that is a little higher than you can quite reach. So basically, eventually risk will get you and you'll go broke and you'll go bankrupt. And I did. And it was then they came and asked me to make another Godfather. And my feeling was, well, if this is what I need to get my life back in some sort of stability, because I needed the money. The first time I didn't have any money. The second one, I didn't need the money. And the third one, 16 years later, I really needed the money.
So they made him an offer he couldn't refuse. But many felt The Godfather Part 3 failed to live up to its predecessors despite its 7 Academy Award nods. Why was it so important for you to jump back into The Godfather Part 3 and reimagine it?
When I laid out this concept for how I would do it, I told him I didn't want to call it Part 3. I wanted to call it the title that Mario and I gave the name, which was Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone. It was supposed to be the epilogue of the 2 movies. It wasn't supposed to be a third separate movie. It was supposed to be the resolution of the Part 1 and Part 2.
In the new version, Coppola has included a new beginning and ending and has reshaped the story that wraps up in Rome and the Vatican City.
And I have to tell you something really interesting, that at the time that I was making the Godfather films, Paramount Studio, who do you think owned Paramount Studios? The studio, the real estate.
Well, I'm not sure.
The Vatican. The Vatican. And the head of Gulf and Western told me the whole story about the Vatican had a company called Immobiliare, which owned Paramount Studios and real estate over the world, and that they were sort of engaging in corrupt financial. And everything I put in the story was what he told me really was true. And the company in the movie, have you seen the movie?
Yes, yes.
Well, then you know that there's a company called Immobiliare, and it owns billions of dollars. One of the assets it owned was Paramount Studios, and that's how I knew all this information. So it's really all true.
I love it. Congratulations. It's an honor to chat to you. And can you do one more thing for us? Can you just yell cut for this interview?
Cut.
Thank you, Francis Ford Coppola. It's been an honor. What a great video, and we've got plenty more. So why not click the subscribe button here? Or is it here? Or is it... Sorry, I can't see the button. I'm not wearing my glasses. But you can see it. So you click on it to make sure you don't miss any more content.